coverage you can count on. KOMU 8 News starts now.
Well, we have a lot to get to, but we have to talk about what's happening outside first. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jordan Berger. Thanks so much for joining us today. And while our reporters have been busy at the Capitol this afternoon, meteorologist Matt Beckwith's been keeping a close watch on the winter weather. Matt, are we all finally done with this snow already?
Yeah, Jordan, we are done with the snow just as we were expecting. It wrapped up early this afternoon. Take a look at the sunshine for us to end the week and our next weather system. That's all coming up.
All right, Matt, thanks so much. Well, Governor Parson delivered the State of the State address earlier today. He began by addressing the state's response to COVID-19. Missouri still ranks lowest in vaccination rate nationwide among states. KOMU 8's John Janko is live in the Capitol with Parson's vaccination response. John?
It's been just over an hour since Governor Parson ended his address. Live at the Capitol, John Janko, KOMU 8 News.
All right, John, thanks. And tonight at 5:30, we'll live stream a COVID-19 Q&A for Spanish-speaking viewers with Dr. Randall Williams and other health experts. You'll find that on KOMU.com. Well, today we spoke to lawmakers from both sides about how our state ranks in vaccinations and everything else. KOMU 8's Marion Bouchot is live at the Capitol with their reactions.
Jordan, when I spoke to lawmakers today, the general reaction from them was disbelief and disappointment. Live at the Capitol, Marion Bouchot, KOMU 8 News.
Thanks, Marion. Let's take a look at the latest COVID-19 numbers in the state. Missouri added 1,444 new cases and also added 23 new deaths. Here in Boone County, there are 130 new cases. That brings the active total to 595. One new death was also reported here. In Audrain County, there are 3 new cases since the last report. Phase 1B Tier 2 residents may be eligible to receive the COVID-19 vaccine early. Now, if a resident is in Tier 2, they will be added to a standby list if there are leftover clinic vaccines. If randomly selected, they'll receive a phone call between 3 p.m. and 4:30 and must arrive at their designated vaccine clinic within 30 minutes. They are usually small amounts available. Now, residents may have household members take that spot for them, but they must still arrive at the vaccination site 30 minutes after the call as well. This is not the only opportunity to receive the vaccine, and it will still be available to high-risk residents once that supply is filled. Well, in the race to distribute the vaccine, the new head of the CDC and President Biden's COVID task force warn Americans that the virus is far from over. Here's NBC's Jay Gray.
Long lines across the country and a lingering question.
Where are all these vaccine doses? And I think that every American citizen deserves the right to know where all these doses are.
In an effort to get more shots into more arms, the Biden administration is promising to up distribution, 10 million doses a week to every state for the next 21 days, an increase of 16%. Drug makers are stepping up production, and an additional vaccine from Johnson & Johnson could be authorized for emergency use in just weeks.
We are taking action to increase supply and increase capacity. But even so, it will be months before everyone who wants a vaccine will be able to get one.
Doctors stressing everyone must remain vigilant, wearing masks, washing hands, and social distancing, especially as they identify new, highly contagious strains of the virus.
The variants have been identified recently seem to spread more easily. They're more transmissible, which can lead to increased number of cases and increased stress on our already taxed healthcare system.
Even as nationally, following a holiday surge, infections seem to be hitting a plateau. Many communities now easing restrictions.
Some people might interpret that as a sign that they can resume life as normal, and that is absolutely not true.
With hospitals still full and the risk from those more contagious strains of the virus growing. Jay Gray, NBC News.
In other news, Russia and the United States have agreed to extend the new nuclear arms control treaty. Russia's upper house of parliament voted today to ratify an extension of the treaty. It was signed back in 2010 and was set to expire next week. It limits the numbers of strategic nuclear warheads, missiles, and bombers that Russia and the U.S. can deploy. Moscow and Washington had failed to agree to an extension under former President Donald Trump. Coming up, we'll introduce you to a 91-year-old Holocaust survivor who's telling her story to educate others. And you always see salt on the road. A look at how local counties are using it this winter.
And our next system arrives on Saturday, looking to be in the form of rain. We'll track this and talk about what else is to come over the next 8 days with your in-depth 8-day forecast. That's all coming up.
But first, you're looking live over downtown Columbia. The time is 5:07. This is KOMU 8 News at 5, coverage you can count on. Welcome back, everyone. Here's what's happening right now. The Audrain County Health Department is warning residents about scammers. Someone is calling area residents asking them to sign up for the COVID-19 vaccination, claiming to be with the health department. The callers are asking about political affiliation and other personal information. The department says they would never ask questions like this. Well, as the world pauses to remember the genocide that killed millions of Jews, a survivor is sounding the alarm on the horrors of the Holocaust. Irene Butter remembers growing up in Nazi-controlled Europe. She says most people must stay vigilant to preserve democratic institutions as we think about that horrific time in history.
Not giving up hope was a very critical thing, to hope that the war will end, that I will survive.
Butter says it took 4 decades before she could talk about what she endured during the Holocaust. Now she's telling her story around the world.
And cooler air is filtering into mid-Missouri right now. We'll track this after the break. All right, everybody, welcome back. Salt, brine, geomelt, and sand are all materials that are used to combat winter road conditions. KOMU 8's Gabrielle Cohn checked in with agency officials across mid-Missouri on their winter weather preparation and salt usage prior to today's winter event. Take a look.
Gabrielle Cohn, KOMU 8 News, Columbia.
And preparation's just as important for motorists. MoDOT advises drivers to double their travel time during weather events and stay up to date with current road conditions. Matt?
And it certainly was double my drive time into work. 9/10 of an inch in Jefferson City. So we're going to be watching that. More sunshine, warmer air to end next week.
A hand sanitizer.
We'll tell you about a wave of kids left severely ill from a COVID-related syndrome. Also, how a video game retailer has become central to a cultural phenomenon rocking Wall Street. More on NBC Nightly News.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, next time you pick up hand sanitizer at the store, be sure to check the ingredients. The FDA has put alcohol-based hand sanitizers coming from Mexico on a countrywide import alert. They say some of the products have been labeled as containing ethanol, but they tested positive for methanol. Officials note that methanol is not an acceptable ingredient in hand sanitizer in the U.S. According to the FDA, the substance, also known as wood alcohol, can be toxic if it's absorbed through the skin. It can also be life-threatening if ingested. Well, another airline is banning emotional support animals. Southwest Airlines says it will no longer transport emotional support pets on its flights. The airline will accept only trained service dogs, and customers will have to show proper documentation for the animal. The policy change takes effect on March 1st. They join Delta Airlines, Alaska, American, and United in that change. We'll have another check of your forecast when we come back after this. Governor Parson delivered the State of the State address earlier today. He began by addressing the state's response to COVID-19. Missouri still ranks lowest in vaccination rate nationwide among states. KOMU 8's John Janko is live in the Capitol with Parson's vaccination response. John?
Parson focused on the state's use of CARES Act in the Capitol. John Janko, KOMU 8 News.
Thanks, John. Here's a look at what we're following for KOMU 8 News at 6. Many businesses across the country have had to close due to the pandemic, but Columbia's vacancy rate falls below the national average. How businesses have made it this far, coming up.
And one last check of those road conditions right now. A lot of green on this map, meaning a lot of those roadways are in pretty good shape. Still going to see some slick spots on those secondary roads, those roads that haven't been treated. But overall, those main roads in pretty good shape at this point. We will watch for some refreezing overnight. Temperatures falling into the teens. A lot of sunshine for tomorrow. We'll be in the upper 30s in the afternoon, getting to the 40s on Friday. Cloud cover building, rain on Saturday. So any snow that doesn't melt Thursday or Friday, it's going to be gone Saturday once that rain moves in.
Rain, snow, sunshine. We get it all this week, don't we?
Yeah, but I could stand to see a little more sunshine in the forecast.
That's very true. All right, that's our time for now. Thanks so much for joining us.
Have a good evening.